Welcome to this new series, dialogues that are reminding you of the divinity. We are today in the company of Sister Sharona, based in Israel, and we are opening up a new topic. And I hope that the image that is in the background will make all of you wonder what is it all about. It looks a little bit like a tree, and we would like to start an exploration on the variety of human religions, very well depicted on the beauty of this tree. The human world can be compared to a beautiful and right now a huge tree with all human souls being placed in the roots or the trunk or the branches or the leaves of the tree. So it's an important task, and we hope to make it small and easy. The task of understanding the bigger picture related to the humankind. So, Sister Sharona, we are very pleased to have you here today. And we would like to start with the beginning. Do we really know what is the beginning of human civilization, of human history, amongst all the religions of the world and the religions that are shown to us or known to us? Can we even ask a question such as, which are the beginnings? Which is the first religion that existed in the human society? Thank you.
First of all, Luana, thank you very much for this program and for inviting me. It's indeed a topic to provide much stimulus for reflection, because the Brahma Kumaris have a very specific way of understanding the beginning and then how religions fit in to the whole story, which doesn't just have a beginning, but also a middle and an end before it starts again. So the very, very first religion is something that we can begin to explore by just looking at the word religion. Religion comes from the Latin religio, which means to return, to go back. So then the question is, what are we supposed to be going back to in religion or on a religious path? And what the Brahma Kumaris understand is that what we need to be going back to is the way we have been originally created. And it's always been a point of curiosity for me that the word religion, if you spell it out, has all the same letters as origin. We have been made in his image. And if there is any kind of experience of divinity and God as the divine, then we know that I myself, each one of us members of the human species, also holds that divinity, is made from that divinity. And that's the original quality of the soul. And that divinity in the human form here on earth, in the drama of life, expresses itself as all the kinds of things that we want for our life. We want peace. Why? Because peace is the very divine energy that we're made of. We want love. We want joy. Right? Why? Because we are made of those very energies. So religion should return us to that original self. Something's happened to that original self. It's gotten tainted, polluted, you can say buried, as we began to forget who we really are. And so we reached outwards for some kind of love experience or joy or peace. And it's okay to use external things for stimulating joy or peace. But what happens is I cross a line or become dependent on those things to bring me peace or love. And the nature of the physical world is that nothing remains forever. So if I've been depending on a beautiful park for my sense of peace, and then one day I discover they're tearing up the park and putting in a parking lot, my peace will be disturbed, and I might be distressed, disturbed, distressed. These are also energies. And as I begin to fill with that, the original template gets buried, or you could say tainted. So religion is there to bring us back, go deeper beyond the man-made characteristics that we have pulled into the soul, to clear all of that out and come back to beings of love, peace, joy. Now, even the Beatles in the 70s asked us to imagine such a world where there is only happiness, peace, and joy. Can you imagine that? Many can. It's in the form of what is called an ideal. But in the Brahma Kumaris, what we say is that it's not an ideal. It's a memory of how we used to be here on this planet. The species of humankind lived in great peace, great harmony, great joy, no police stations, no courts, no hospitals, because the soul in its original state is in a state of purity, and with that purity there are no expressions of impurity, such as sickness or criminal behaviors. Can you imagine such a time? Because all religions give a name to that time. They call it heaven, they call it paradise, a golden age. It really did exist here on this earth, but at a completely different time than we are in now. And so the original first religion is this one. It's the religion of peace, the religion of happiness, which comes from a soul that has once again regained its original state of purity. No criminal activity, no sicknesses of the mind, of the heart, and of the body. The pure peace and love. That's the original religion.
It's a very clear picture of our past and also of our future. And it feels like it is possible to return to that origins. And if all of us are holding that vision, each one will be able to access their highest happiness, highest peace. And to introduce into the image of paradise, the image of heaven, the experience of being brothers, being equal, of us, the same family, and that love, which is a brotherly love. And then understanding that now we are not really experiencing that. So, this brotherhood, how can we fully understand it? We start with a family, and we do not feel now as one family. And why would that be the case? What would be the spiritual understanding?
This word exists, the brotherhood of man, the sisterhood. But what does it mean? Because hardly anyone would say it exists today. It's more just like a theory. So the reason there was such a civilization here on this earth, but in a much earlier time than we are now, a civilization of such peace and love, a civilization that considered itself to be as if one family. It's because everyone at that point in time understood themselves to be divine beings. And we might also, on a religious path or a spiritual path, we might also believe that we are divine beings made in the image of God. But an added essential detail to that understanding is the experience of myself as a being completely separate from this human bodily form. That civilization in the time of heaven, paradise, a golden age here on this earth, each and every one of them understood this completely and lived it. The framework of reality at that time is I am the being inside this human form. I am the soul. And this understanding was as natural to them as today it's natural for us to think, I am this body. I am whatever religion I've been born into. I am whatever is the color of my skin. I am whatever is my education and all the things I've pulled into myself while living in this body. It's the consciousness of the body, we call it in the Brahma Kumaris, instead of the consciousness of being the soul. And the soul, in its original state, is that peace and love. And when that original state has been restored, then our behavior, our character, our expressions, interactions are filled with that same quality of being. So that's how we end up feeling so connected to each other. That's how we end up feeling as if one family, because as souls, we truly are all children of the divine. There's no religion to divide us or make us think that we're different or separate. Dadi Janki, one of the leaders of the Brahma Kumaris before she passed on, used to say, the color of our blood is the same. The color of our tears is the same. And so is the color of our smile. It is the same. But religion, politics, finances, education, all of these are used at this point in time to make us think that we're different. As if the most important thing would not be for each and every one of us to feel love and to share love, to be joyous and to share joy. So we definitely are one family, all souls inside these human bodies. We definitely originally all are divine, made in His image, but we have to get back to that original state. And that's an individual effort.
At the level
Sorry, Joanna, I missed that.
very clear, and reasoning says that we are all brothers, we are all souls, children of the same Supreme Father, Supreme Mother. If that is the case, we would really like to understand why paradise is a world that is limited, and some souls experience the heaven, the paradise, others experience less of that. How can we fully understand that and accept it, and also see the fortune that every human soul is fortunate and lucky?
I would not say that some souls experience paradise and others don't. I would look at it on two different levels. First level is to be part of the civilization in which everyone is operating from that highest capacity, the pure soul in its original state. It means that you come into the cycle of time at the very beginning of the cycle. In the Brahma Kumaris, we see time as a cycle, and the soul enters the cycle, completes the journey by the end of the cycle, flies to the home of light, the home of souls, and comes back into time when it's ready. So the two levels to talk about here are whenever a soul comes back into time, this physical world, puts on a body and starts playing his or her part, that is going to be paradise for him or her. We come from the home of light, the soul world, where the Supreme Soul lives. And in that state, being in that home of light, we are pure. We are in that beautiful original state. And so when we first come down, whenever it is in the cycle of time, That's what we experience. Even though we're in a body, we feel ourselves to be pure. There is love, there is peace, there is joy. So, in a sense, everyone will experience an inner paradise, no matter when they come into the drama of life, no matter when they leave the home of light and come into this physical world. What we're talking about earlier, you were saying, I think you were, at some point, we were talking about the tainting, the polluting of the soul getting buried. It's a natural process. The soul comes into the cycle at whatever point, fresh, fully charged, pure. So you can talk about the soul being tainted, buried, or polluted, but you can also just talk about the soul being depleted. The soul is now in a body, in a physical world, and the natural movement of energy is to go from fresh and new to old and stale. So that's another way of describing the journey. The soul begins to lose energy, entropy. And in that loss of energy, it's more and more challenging to remember myself as a source of love and peace. It's more and more challenging to remember the home of light and the Supreme as a source of that peace or joy. So we begin to depend on external things for this. So it's a depletion process that starts. But wherever I come into this cycle, I'm starting fresh and pure with a lot of joy and a lot of peace and a lot of love and all the things that belong to the original stage. So that's one level of looking at or answering the question. I don't know if that's clear.
Yes, it is clear. It is a way to say that souls who come together into the cycle, they will experience a time of happiness, of peace, of loveliness and brotherhood together.
Yes. So this is a paradise, which is an inner state of reality, an inner state of being. That's one way of answering your question. Now, another level of response is to understand that there is a time within the cycle of time, the cycle of the world, you could say, in which the whole of civilization is operating from its purest, highest being. So you could speak of like the seasons in a year: spring, summer, autumn, winter. If you come from the home of light into the world cycle at the time when it's in its autumn or winter, you, from your internal state of paradise, will feel complete, you'll feel happy, you'll feel loved and able to give love. That'll slowly degenerate as time goes by. Other things will get mixed into that, but wherever you come in to the cycle of time, the world cycle, you will have that internal state of paradise. But nevertheless, there is a time, call it the spring of humanity, the spring of the world cycle, when everyone is in an internal state of paradise, everyone. And that also will degenerate, or not degenerate as much as deplete, very, very slowly, very, very slowly. But it also depletes. And yet, on a second level, there actually is, in the cycle of time, a whole age, which is paradise. And so you can think of it as the spring and the summer of the human world clock. And that simply symbolizes, you know, in spring and in summer, there's so much new, pure freshness. You have the buds, and then you have the blossoms. You have the beauty, you have the fragrance. That describes civilization at that time. But as time moves on, entropy continues, and we deplete, the souls deplete. We move into an autumn, and we move into a winter. And that symbolizes, for the first time, a kind of division in the understanding of things. It's now too far from when we were in the home of light. It's been too long ago for us to fully remember ourselves as souls separate from the body. So we try to create an identity. That's where the whole notion of body consciousness begins. I am a doctor, I am a lawyer, I own this much property, I am a man, I am a woman. And so in autumn, division and conflict starting for the very first time, because using external means to give myself an identity sets us up to start having differences of opinion and inequalities in even our material possessions. And so we give ourselves more or less value based on all these external things. And to address this division, which begins at the time of the autumn of humanity, the different religions as we know them today come into existence to help humanity remember that as much as there is material comfort, material wealth, material value, that is not what gives us full happiness, full peace, or love in our life. There's also spirit or religion. So the time of the autumn of humanity is still a good time, because it's the birth of many different religions with beautiful messages. Muhammad, Abraham, Christ, all these prophet messenger souls brought beautiful messages straight from the home, with so much of that power of peace and love. So it helped humanity in its journey through time. But as the journey continues, entropy also continues, and we move into a winter of humanity, in which there's nothing left of what there was at the beginning of that world clock, that world cycle. In the spring, there was only the blossomed, fragrant beauty of love, peace, joy. By the winter of humanity, there is none of that, or it's very hard to find. It's very hard to hold on to, even in my own heart. There's so much division, so much conflict, as the soul depletes even further. So on this other level of paradise actually existing at a point in time, in an outer reality, not just an inner state of being, then we can understand something very important about these times. if indeed time is cyclical, like I was just describing, if indeed winter is as I just described it, meaning we are now in winter, then we have a new way of understanding what it is we can do to help the whole of humanity go back to that original state and thereby become true instruments to create a better tomorrow. That state, original state of being, that experience of the brotherhood, we were saying before, it's not an ideal, it's a memory, means not just that it's my long lost past, but it's my up and coming future. If time is cyclical, my desire for peace and love and joy amongst all men is not an ideal. It's a memory of how it was when I first came into the cycle. When I first came from the home of light into this physical world in the body. So, who will help finish this winter where there's such dearth of the beautiful qualities of the original state? Who will move energy from its most depleted state to its fully charged state, whereby once again there can be peace, love, and happiness here on this planet through this body, because I, the soul, have restored myself to that state? Who will do this? Anybody who wants to can play this part here, now, by taking up the kind of study such as we do in the Brahma Kumaris that allows us to understand these things in detail. And most importantly, make that connection even now to the home of light and the Supreme Soul who lives there. And here, now, on this planet, in this body, begin to recharge the self. Fill the soul with, again, those divine energies of peace and love, not from anything external, but from internal, and a new kind of relationship with the Supreme God, the divine. Anybody who wants to can do this, and if you do this, and you see that true peace and love are coming back into the way you think, the way you speak, and the way you act, then you become a true instrument for the world renewal, world transformation. Because the world can only be as peaceful, joyful, loveful as are its people. And that's what we need now. We need people who have brought the original stage back into existence. They've done this inner work of charging the soul and removing all acquired man-made negativities. And they're putting out in their lives only the highest and purest of energies. With that, once there's enough of those pure energies being generated, then this winter can finish and the spring of humanity can begin again.
Yes. It's an optimist vision of our future, and realist as well. The moment we all realize that souls are protected. They belong to the highest on high, Father, and they will awaken once again to their truth, to their divinity, to their beauty. It's a beautiful perspective that can easily and quickly uplift our consciousness. So I will invite you and others as well to join this dialogue again. And we will reflect until next time on how we become the ones that can uplift others. It's a beautiful slogan. When I change, the world changes, but also when I can put you first, then I'm also hugely benefited. So thank you very much.
Yeah, can I just say one thing, Joanna? We have another minute. You know, very, very practically, what we're really talking about is please do whatever you can to prove to yourself the value and the power of goodness. Because it is now the time for goodness to rise and win. We're in an extreme these days of very evil, very negative crises. But whenever we move into an extreme, the pendulum swings to the other side. Who is going to move that pendulum? It's you, it's me, those of us who understand the needs and what's going on in the larger picture of these times. Dig in our heels and not just insist on from our own selves, virtuous behavior, principled, value-based behavior, but in order to have the strength to take a stand in the name of such goodness, I discover new ways of connecting with God and take that power from Him.
Very clear, absolutely. Let us continue this dialogue. And the dialogue, of course, is the dialogue with the Supreme, the effort that each one can do individually and also collectively. Thank you very much, Sharona. Let us finish with a few moments of silence and we will meet again. Thank you.